first and foremost, the first thing I do want to say is that hockey, or sports in general for that matter, is not more important than what is going on in the world right now. So getting all of that under control is far more important than, having our favorite team to watch again. But with all that being said, eventually things will pass, things will get better, and we will return to having sports to watch again. And from a hockey standpoint, I'd like to believe the NHL tries to find a way to play the games to finish out this season. If, for example, they have to start in July, I think they still have time to do it. Now, you get past July, things might get a little bit hairy. But when you talk July, you say, every team's got about 12 to 15 games left to play. You got playoffs. And then what you would do is shorten the season following it, because then it's a lot easier to say, let's shorten next season where every team plays 55 games, every team plays 60 games, and then you play that season out still because they're going to need the off-season break or whatever has to happen, as opposed to saying, let's just completely scrap this season where every team's played pretty well 68, 70 games, or just jumping straight into playoffs where you'd say, okay, let's let the Blue Jackets in playoffs, a team that's got 2 more games played than the Islanders right now, but are only 1 point ahead of them in a wild card. So it's a very interesting dilemma nonetheless if the season gets played out, if it doesn't get played out. But if the season does play out, it's very interesting for these Blue Jackets. A Blue Jackets team who by now we all know has a very storied history of injuries so far this season. Just to rattle off a few of them, you have Bjorkstrand, who was expected to be out until the end of April. You have Texier, whose timetable was, a little less clear than most of these guys, but with a long break, you expect his chances of returning obviously improving as well. You look at Josh Anderson, who's interesting here because he underwent season-ending injury because he was expected to miss 4 to 6 months. But when you look at 4 to 6 months from that injury, you talk about maybe, best case scenario, he could be back by July. And you look at July, the season gets played out, there's playoffs, you're talking about easily having hockey in the month of July. So you talk about Josh Anderson potentially being a piece of this team once again. And we can talk about, in general, all the guys on the Blue Jackets who've just been dinged up, who are all now guys who have extra time to heal as well. And don't you worry, we didn't forget about the most important injury of them all, Seth Jones, whose injury appeared to break the camel's back for this Blue Jackets team, a team that is 3-6-5 since he went down. And now, barring any sort of setbacks, he appears to be locked, loaded, and ready to return to this Blue Jackets lineup. A massive addition to this team when hockey resumes once again. And again, the Blue Jackets, a team that, it's great to rattle off the games when things are going well and you're playing good hockey, but the Blue Jackets weren't in that phase. They just exited that phase and they've been struggling lately. And nothing really helps a team better probably than a chance to get a quote-unquote fresh restart or a clean slate where they're going to get a month of time to clean their head or clear their heads and, focus on the goal ahead. But it is a little bit more than that, of course. It's almost like lockout standards where players aren't practicing or anything. It's just kind of a dry phase. They can obviously practice at home or on their own if they want to. So it's a little bit more than just saying, oh, they're going to return and be okay and be healthy. But it is something I think will benefit these Blue Jackets. Again, though, it's all speculative. We don't know if the season's going to resume. That's not a priority right now by any means. But eventually, hockey in general will resume. And this Blue Jackets team could be back much improved and poised for a playoff push if it so happens to be this season when it returns.